if that isn't just like the best podcast jingle I have ever heard in my entire life, that is all thanks to Callie. But before I say hello to Callie and Josh, just welcome along to the very first episode of the Work Sucks podcast, named after that little ditty that Blink 182 did at some point called All the Small Things. Work sucks, I know. We all know work sucks, and that's what we're talking about on this podcast. The worst bits of work. And with every guest that we have on, we're going to ask them 8 questions about their kind of life in the world of work. We're going to do 10 episodes a season, and then on the 11th episode, the final episode of that season, we're going to try and make the worst job out of all the shitty bits that people have talked about through that. So with that, I'm delighted to say hello to my co-host, my partner in crime from across the pond, Callie. Hello.
Hello. So excited to be here, and so excited to bring Josh Drean on as our very first guest.
Author, medical marvel, soccer player, and just an all-round incredible dude. Hey, Josh.
Tearing my ACL playing soccer is a really interesting way to say medical marvel and soccer superstar, but I appreciate it.
Though I think was it his ACL, like David Beckham in like the turn of the century, like all the newspapers were talking about his ACL at one point. So it was like forevermore, like the ACL is like, oh, will it be fit for the World Cup? But this is a very British thing, and I'm not talking to British people, so I'll move swiftly on. Josh, so you've done your ACL. We should call out that you may bounce during the podcast.
I will,
not just because you're having an awesome time with your good friends Toby and Callie, but because you are rehabilitating yourself from this horrific injury.
That's it. I typically, get excited, wag my tail. It's kind of like bouncing on the yoga ball. So if you see me bouncing, it knows we're getting into the good stuff on the podcast, which I'm excited to jump into.
The physical barometer of how well the podcast is going. So me and Callie have been talking about doing this podcast for nigh on 6 to 8 months, and this is the first episode. It's taken a while, but we're here, and we're so delighted to have you as a guest, Josh. But Callie, just to you, what are you hoping to hear about today from Josh and this podcast? What kind of things are you looking out for?
I mean, I want to level set that my experience with terrible work environments isn't an anomaly, right? I want to know that other people have experienced it too, including the incredible Josh Drean, who I think we should have introduce himself, really honestly.
I mean, that would be good because author and medical marvel and soccer player probably don't cut the amazing stuff that Josh does and talks about. So Josh, go ahead. Tell our dear listeners and viewers who the hell you are.
I think those 3 things encapsulate it pretty nicely, my friend.
Okay, move on. Right, that's it. Good.
And I do have to mention that I have 3 boys, 3 kids, and my youngest, his name is Beckham. So we're all in terms of soccer and everything. So I hope his ACL will grow up to be as magical as David Beckham's himself.
Hang on a minute. What, named after the man himself, or just a coincidence, or?
Yeah. We named him after David Beckham. Not, directly. It's a cool name first and foremost, but also David Beckham is the GOAT. The OG GOAT.
Well, so, when I do my own soccer podcast, I'll be sure to have you on and really dive into this love of David Beckham a little bit more. But I feel, Callie, self-professed, not a sports fan, feel like I'm leaving you out in the cold here. Josh, can you do a proper introduction? Otherwise, we will go on tangents. But do a proper introduction. Who are you? What are you doing? Why?
We've already hijacked it. It's already a soccer podcast. 5 minutes out of the gate. I apologize for that.
We need a new name.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Josh Drean. I am co-founder of the Work3 Institute, where we help companies embrace emerging technologies. So if you are interested in figuring out how to use AI specifically within your workforce, we focus primarily on human-centric leadership, on human resources, whatever human resources is evolving into in the era of AI, which we can get into as well. And I'm also co-author of the book, Employment is Dead, How Disruptive Technologies Are Revolutionizing the Way That We Work, published with Harvard Business Review Press. Me and my co-author, Deborah Perry-Pashoni, launched the book in January, and our bold statement is that traditional work models are outdated. They no longer serve employees. They no longer serve organizations. There's a diminishing return, and we need a radical reinvestment in new structures of work. Hence, employment is dead.
Hence, you being the logical first guest on this podcast.
Great to be here. Thanks, Callie.
We're about to ask you 8 questions that prove that employment is dead and we should just give it up and do something else. And if you want to know what that something else is, read the book, because it's an absolute vibe. And the title isn't just like a spicy, provocative one. It's like there is so much substance to it where you can just kind of go, well, yeah, of course employment's dead. It's just a stupid model. Why do we still stick with it? But anyway, that's the background of Josh Drean. We're going to hear more about Josh now as we dive in. So every week, we are going to ask a guest 8 questions about their work-life experience. And so we're just going to dive straight into it. Let's just dive straight into it. Question
Are you
1.
ready?
Yeah, I feel like we need like some da-da-da-da-dun spotlights.
Drum roll. I can, whatever they do.
That was the quietest drum roll I've ever heard.
Quiet drum roll on the microphone.
Okay. So, were you doing the Bart Simpson clapping with one hand? Does anyone ever remember that thing? No? Okay, just me. Great. Simpsons podcast. Neither of you are invited to that one. Josh, the first question for you, my friend, is I want you to tell us about your worst interview experience. For a job, not just like this, because I mean this might be up here.
Geez, the interview process itself is just a sticky and terrible experience, especially as we are starting to add AI into the mix. You're starting to see all over TikTok these AI agents running interviews for employees now. You know, the job market is brutal right now, and so if you are unemployed and you've been unemployed and you've applied for thousands of jobs and you finally land your first interview and you're so excited, and then you hop in the call and it's just an AI agent who's not even real, just sending questions at you and you just answer it. And, you know, again, on TikTok, you're watching them glitch out. They're not working too well at this point. It's going viral actually to see, you know, getting stuck in the process. So most of my interview experiences aren't that terrible. I'm glad that I am not Gen Z today, coming out of college, trying to apply for a job right now in this mess. It's just a nightmare. But I have had several job interviews in my life. I think the worst one is just thinking that it went super well. I was actually coming right out of college. I had just studied psychology. I was really excited to kind of get into a consulting role. So I applied for a job at a consulting company that I was really excited about. And I thought I knocked it out of the park. They were so nice and so great. And I knew that I had landed the job. I was so confident. I was telling everyone that I had landed the job. And I didn't. I did not get the job. And as I sought feedback to try and figure out why, I didn't receive any feedback at all.
Is that the worst?
It's the absolute worst. It's like you can't even tell me why or give me some help on my next interview or whatnot. So I think that was the first taste for me of being a number in a corporate world, of not being able to feel valued, feel like my career matters. I thought that was something that they would value. And again, it's on full display right now. You know, you get a 3 years later, unfortunately we went with another candidate, and it's like, thanks. I kind of felt that at this point. So
it's almost, here you go. Here's a tangential analogy that please indulge me. Imagine if you were in the Olympics and you performed a certain activity and they went, cool, we'll let you know the results in a couple of weeks. And then you go, hey, buddy, by the way, you know that gold medal you went for? You didn't even place in the top 3. And then you had no other context, like, well, how did people beat me? What distance did they run? Or what, you know, how far did they throw? Or how quick were they? Like, you wouldn't do that. That's absolutely baffling, to put someone in this kind of competitive environment and then not give them any insight about how they actually performed, other than a binary yes or no. It's a little bit redundant, right? That well, it's dehumanizing for one, but also a little bit redundant in terms of a real genuine human process, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, Callie, you've had similar experiences over the years, or else you wouldn't be running a podcast called Work Sucks.
Toby's heard all about this, but I did 4 interviews and then got ghosted, and then somehow talked into doing a 5th interview and then ghosted again.
Oof, they got you.
Taking that one out right on to episode 1. But I feel like it's so fascinating that it's such an important experience to have that moment in time with someone from an interview perspective, and yet we get almost 0 opportunities to practice it, and we're just supposed to be able to do it, and we expect people to do it well, when it's such a weird, specific interaction. It's insane.
Yeah, and the interview process has been through a lot of iterations. Remember Culture Fit, when we were trying to, get the right person with the right vibe, and it ended up being more like the right ethnicity or the right. There were a lot of challenges there.
A mirror of yourself?
That's all I want. The CEO wants people who looks and thinks just like him or her, leading with him. So yeah, and I will say, like, the more I dig into the structure of work, there's always been this structure of like, oh, you want a good job, you have to go to college for 4 years. Once you get your piece of paper, the world is open to you and you can go work anywhere you want, make good money, climb the corporate ladder, retire with a pension, and just live the American dream, if you will. Or the global dream, right? Wherever you are at, Toby. There's just a lot of cracks in that system right now that show that just because you get a college degree doesn't mean you can land a job. Just because you land a job doesn't mean you're going to get paid what you're worth. Just because you show loyalty to a company for a long period of time doesn't mean that they're going to take care of you. And retirement for millennials, for Gen Z, it's not even on our radar. We don't even believe in that anymore. So there is a radical shift that needs to happen across the structure of the way that we work. Again, pointing back to employment is dead. And I like to say that if we don't take care of our people, eventually they will, the pendulum will swing the other way and they will leave. So all of you companies who pay lip service to employee experience, but pendulum swing to an employer's market, now you don't have to do employee experience and the guise has fallen off. Like, doesn't mean that employees are happy working for you or that they'll stick around or that they're loyal. Like, there's still a lot of challenges that are being ignored.
Yeah. I want to go back to your worst interview experience, right? So you mentioned, like, you felt the interview went really, really well. I just have this image of you, like, skipping out and going, hey, this was great. And so, but it was the bit afterwards, right? So the kind of let you down. Were the people in the interview, like, actually quite cool and did a really good interview, and therefore you felt like super jazzed about the relationship, and then it was even more crushing to kind of have that response and that emptiness afterwards?
Yeah, I think over the years I've become attuned to the interview process, knowing that there's just a guise. It's a part of the employer brand that a company puts on. Like, hey, we're cool, we're fun, and they're that way with 100 other applicants. They don't care. They're looking for the right person to come and work for us. And the minute you're not the right person, Callie, with your 4th and, oh shoot, she might be the right person, let's get her a 5th interview. Nope, she's definitely not the right person, let's get her out here. And just completely ghost you is like, and now candidates are ghosting employers almost as kind of this pushback, which is really fun to see, in my opinion. It's like, you can dish it out, but you can't take it. Like, respect goes both ways.
It's like,
I agree. We were just talking about this, Toby, where we, like, employers get so mad and it's so rude and so disrespectful. It's like, this is just a reaction to what employers have been doing. Maybe you weren't doing it, but by and large, there is a lot of bad behavior that led to people saying, well, fine, I'm going to waste your time too.
It's the thing I love with LinkedIn job ads. It's like, I'm getting too many people applying for this job, and like, well, duh, you've tried to gamify and automate the process within an inch of its life, and so you've tried to do that to make it easier for you, and then the employees, the people who are applying, are applying the same kind of automation and AI lens into all of this, and you're going, well, that's not fair. I was like, no, they're just playing exactly the same game that you were playing. Like, that is completely fair. That is how the world works, kind of. You dummy. Anyway, let's not go into the whole LinkedIn job application process, because that is just like a whole cesspit of bad practice, bad technology, and bad people.
I think you summed it up perfectly.
Well, thank you. So like, as far as bad interviews go, I like, the interview was fine. The bit after, I think the problem I have with your worst interview is like, it wasn't shocking, and it's not a problem I have with it, but it's like yeah, that story checks out, which is like kind of one of the things we're going to highlight during this podcast, right? Is that some of this stuff is really shitty, and it's so easy to fix, yet you still manage to get it wrong decades later, assuming that it was a decade or so ago that this job interview occurred, assuming age.
Josh just got his first job 6 months ago.
Yeah. This was actually an interview to be a lifeguard, so no, just kidding.
He was 2 when he first heard of David Beckham. Hey, we've got Kelly. We've got Kelly out in chat. Hey, Kelly, how you doing? Kelly says a client of mine recently applied for a role and was ghosted, then was contacted by the same recruiter about the same job.
I've heard that story a lot lately too. Like, you're perfect for this. Yeah, that's why I interviewed for it 3 months ago.
It's like, it's so stupid. It's so stupid. But have there any other instances, Josh, where you've been in an interview process and went, man, this was just awful?
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much a personal experience after that. You know, you learn your lesson and you move on. And the part that I hate is when you become jaded and it's like, okay, well, yeah, I can tell from the get-go that like you don't have my best interests at heart. Like, kind of going back to that AI element, like HR, I get it. From your perspective, from a CHRO's perspective, what a great way to scale the process. You can do so many more interviews and collect so much more data to make a more informed decision. It makes sense. But to your point, Toby, if you are ignoring the candidate experience, what you're actually communicating is that you don't care about the human elements that matter so much at the workplace. Why, if I were top talent, why would I work for you knowing that this is my experience so far? Like, of course you're going to use AI to replace me eventually, and not a role I would want to take.
Oh, absolutely. Right. Let's move swiftly on to question number 2.
Swiftly.
Swiftly. 20 minutes later, let's do question 2. We're going to go in the Guinness Book of Records for the world's longest podcast. I don't know what that is, but it feels like we could beat that fairly easily.
Sorry, Josh, we didn't tell you that part.
Yeah, you booked off the whole day, right? Like, we're going to be going till midnight your time, which would be like 6 a.m. my time.
Eat your heart out, Joe Rogan. We do 24-hour podcasts here. That's how we do it.
Just trying to hold back a whole Joe Rogan's bit that I was going to do, but I don't want to do.
Probably safer not to.
What a guy. Right, question number 2. Tell us about the worst boss you've ever had. And you, for litigious purposes, probably don't say their name or where they worked.
Oh, yeah, Bob Schaefer. I hate that guy. I'm just kidding. Yeah. Oh, I had a boss. This was at a time where I was kind of deep into my career, trying to push things forward, who was very interested in helping me develop as a, as a key player in this role. It was kind of a smaller boutique consulting firm. We were doing a lot of really strong work right in the middle of the pandemic. So we were helping companies and their HR departments pivot very swiftly to remote work or trying to figure out how to keep frontline workers safe. So it was very interesting to hear the rhetoric that the company would preach. It was very much an employee experience company, so it had all of its employees' best interests at heart. And to see the disconnect from what they were saying out loud to what was happening behind the scenes, and the culture that grew quite toxic quite quickly on the inside. Just to give an example, we would tell our clients all day, every day to run employee engagement surveys because it's the best way to get a pulse on how employees are feeling, and then do what you can to give it to them to the best of your ability. And when we suggested we should be doing it as well, we haven't taken an employee engagement survey here at the organization. We finally took it, and there was a lot of honesty in the spirit of collaboration, in the spirit of trying to like build a better culture and practice what we preach. And it was just the tragic, like, oh, is this really anonymous? Is my feedback really going to be used? The feedback got buried immediately. The company never talked about it again. I personally was put on a 60-day PIP, or performance improvement plan, which was unrelated to the feedback that I had given to the organization, allegedly.
Crazy coincidence.
Yeah, how did that work out? And I learned very quickly that sometimes it's not about the mission or the culture. It's about the ROI, which I get it. Again, you're a business and you got to drive revenues, but I just was shocked at the hypocrisy of it all. That was my worst boss.
Did you get some good feedback on that PIP?
I left before it was over.
Oh, how long did you get into it?
I was like day 52 or something. Yeah, I started job hunting immediately because I wasn't going to put up with that. Wasn't the right place. Wasn't the right spirit. Wasn't the right fit. So,
man, that should be a whole question in itself. Let's just talk about PIPs for a while.
Yeah. And we can. Let's dig in. A PIP right now is a great way to lay people off, right? A lot of large companies right now.
That is all it's used for, right? Genuinely, like I have never heard someone go, "Oh yeah, I was on a PIP," and you know what? I feel like a better person as a result. Like that has never happened.
Yeah, you go to jail internally, and you never come out the same. You got put in the black box for 60 days, and you come out and you're looking around, blinking at the sun. And, no one looks at you the same ever again.
I don't know that you come out of the black box, right? Like that's kind of the point.
Yeah, again, right? When you see the worst of corporate culture on display in public, a lot of companies are using performance as a way to lay people off. You're seeing big companies like Meta and Google and Amazon who say, we're putting you on a PIP. And that's pretty much just a way of saying, collect your things and leave because you're not a high performer at our organization. And they're hoping that they don't have to fire them, so they don't have to pay severance and all of the other benefits that would come from it. So kind of a dick move, if you're asking me.
And I think the word that there was one of two words that could sum it up was like either transparency or trust. Like in that situation you're talking about, right? There's just this inherent distrust that this individual, this boss, would have built up by saying one thing and doing another. Like if any of my friends did that, well, I can't put you on a PIP as a friend. I just stop being your friend is what I do. So like you kind of create a structure that messes with the very fabric of human connection, which is again a dick move to quote you, Josh.
There you go. You can quote me on that. Hopefully it's that kind of podcast.
Yeah, it feels like with that question especially, tell us about your worst boss. Dick move is going to probably come up a lot. Okay. We got 8 questions. We should go to the next one, right? Otherwise, we are literally going to be here all night. Unless Callie, did you want to ask anything else about Josh's worst boss? Because I think like we could be here for hours talking about this chap.
No, I think we keep going.
We keep going. Okay, Josh. Question number 3. Worst training course you've ever been on?
Oh gosh, they're all terrible. Every one of them. I don't think I've seen a training course where it's like, wow, that was engaging and informative at the same time. Like you either have to sacrifice one or the other, right? when you watch Masterclass, it's so great to hear from the experts. But I'm going to be honest, out of all of the master classes that I've taken, it was a 12-hour class, and I pulled out like 3 minutes of really solid, gold there. That was great. But it sounds like you just had a really privileged life to be able to get into the place you were, it's just, when you hear it from the experts, it's like, okay, take it with a grain of salt. And they're entertaining, don't get me wrong, right? Listening to my heroes talk about their successes is important, but I think more often than not, it's like, ooh, not as heroic as I thought you were.
I
then you come to the other end of the pendulum, and it's like, this is the most boring, monotone, straightforward screen record training, and I have to listen to it. I can't even put it on 2 times speed to get through it.
That's a travesty right there. I think if you want people to focus, at least speed it up a little bit, or let me speed it up a little bit so I can do that. And I'm being more efficient with your time.
That's
WhatsApp voice notes. Me and Callie send each other a lot of WhatsApp voice notes. And Callie, you sent me one yesterday, and I listened to it and I immediately forgot what you said. So I listened it back again on 2 times speed. If you've ever heard Callie laugh on 2 times speed, you'll know it does sound like one of the chipmunks. It was like,
doesn't anybody at 2 times speed sound like that?
No, but like literally, like Alvin, Simon, or Theodore, you could have been either one of those 3, right? Like it was. I almost want to clip it up and use it as like a soundboard.
Talking to Toby.
It's pretty hard, and I'm a funny guy. So. Yeah. Okay. Training courses. We're on one end of either end of a spectrum. Hugely entertaining, but kind of redundant in terms of helping me. I did the Steve Martin one, and it was hugely entertaining. But actually, the best thing about when I tried to learn stand-up comedy was like I went and just did it. That was the best way to learn it, rather than like I'm going to listen to Steve Martin for 16 hours. And
I hope you learned how to play the banjo.
He played the banjo a lot. And I was like, well, I don't want to learn to play the banjo, really. I know someone who plays the banjo. Is it a banjo or is it ukulele, Callie? What do you play?
It's a banjo. I took it down, though. I need to get it back up.
So Callie plays the banjo. If you've not watched Callie's Disrupt video with her banjo playing on it, then you should, because I believe it is a world first of someone getting on stage talking about HR with a banjo in their hand.
I actually got a speaking gig out of that, a paid speaking gig, because of playing a banjo.
Did they want the banjo?
Yeah, I brought the banjo with.
There's a whole bit of personal branding that needs to go into like.
Well, that was the whole point, right? It was like the redhead covered in tattoos playing a banjo. You can't tell me you don't remember that person talking about human resources.
Yeah. Well, I think the world needs some of that, because generally when people try to do like a really good job on their personal branding as a HR thought leader, they end up in all sorts of just like really dull, what they think is funny places, but is actually just like really stupid. I'm not going to quote any one of them, but some of them have been on Disrupt events, and you're just like, yeesh, no wonder people don't like HR when you're the mouthpiece.
Josh, do you have a favorite HR influencer?
Oh man, I have a slew of favorite HR influencers. One is a professional wrestler almost. He is just dynamic and fun, and just love Steve Martin. So
hey, he sounds awesome. You should. We'll drop his. I'm assuming it's a he. But we'll drop his profile in chat. You can give him a follow. But any serious ones?
Well, I will say that you guys are. Kelly's laughing at us in the comments. She's not 1, not 2, but 5 laughy faces, because she knows who we're talking about. I love it. All of my favorite HR influencers would hate that I am calling them an HR influencer. Some of them have left the industry because they were called an HR influence. Lars Schmidt, for example, is one of my heroes, and he's like, I got called an influencer once at a conference, and I kind of just had to bail. So he kind of folded up his business and got a full-time job and moved on. But yeah, Laurie Rudiman is awesome. Tracy Spanenberg is a favorite of mine. Can we call Josh Burson a HR influencer? He would kill us.
You can't not call Josh Burson an HR influencer. Like, if anyone has earned that title, it's that man.
You know, not that we're naming names here, but I got into it once with Josh Burson about the metaverse and what it could do for us. And we were just emailing back and forth about it. I was surprised that he had even responded back to me, but we had a deep conversation about how the metaverse could potentially be a thing. And he just like straight up was like, nah, and moved on. And I was like, well, isn't that the perfect encapsulation of like an older generation poo-pooing this new idea that everyone's on board with, and it makes sense, creating virtual office spaces that you can work remotely from. Nah, come back to the office. We don't want to go there. We're more effective in person. I'm like, okay, I guess we'll just wait then.
I think go back to talking about your worst boss. It's like it's not we're more effective in person. It's like you, boomer, you're more effective in person because you are lazy and apathetic to learning how to using technology properly to garner relationships.
Taking the gloves off, Toby.
Who will convert files to PDFs if no one's in the office?
Man,
why are PDFs still a thing?
Question.
Anyway, tangent aside, so we've got Josh's hot take on training. You've not explicitly told us a specific training course you went on, just that the answer was all of them, which I do like, just slamming them all. So if anyone's had the pleasure of running a workshop with Josh Drean, just let you know, whatever he put on that feedback form that everyone has to do at the end, which is like the best way of measuring training, apparently. Just know he was lying. He was just giving you 5 out of 5. Just to make you feel better about yourself, because he didn't want you to feel bad about the time you spent together.
It's because it's not anonymous. I know you're coming for me now. I ain't giving you any negative
Especially
feedback.
Back in the day, right, when they were all in person. He's like, you'll literally have to hand them the sheet of paper. This is what I think of you.
It's like professor evals in college.
Tuck it in the middle somewhere. Like, geez.
Like you don't recognize people's handwriting.
Yeah, been there. Well, we are not even halfway through the questions at this point. So
okay, we're rolling. What's your worst first day? The worst first day you've had in any job, and this could be like personally or professionally. Like, it doesn't have to be about something they did. It could be like, you know, you ripped your pants, which for our American viewers is your trousers. No, for our English viewers, it's your trousers.
Ripped your trousers. Yeah. Ooh, that's a good question. I'm a big proponent of day zero employee experience. That essentially is a concept from Atlassian that is like, hey, how are we engaging our people and getting them ready to go before they even hit their desk? I think a lot of employee experience initiatives start on day one. Like, what are we doing? And I'm going to be honest, I don't have a day one worst experience. I have a day 3 worst experience or a day 5 worst experience, which is just like, we had a team lunch, we high-fived, we met each other, you gave me my laptop, you set me up, and then you put me at my desk and forgot about me. Like, I don't know how to even log in yet. I don't even know what to do. And you were so focused on that first day or the first 90-day check-in. Like, I've got 90 more days of this until I get to talk to anyone about it. So obviously people are helpful and they'll come around and take care of you. But I do think that companies don't spend enough time thinking longer term than just the first day or two.
It's crazy, right? Like, it just doesn't. You just go back to just the innate human experience. If you get dropped into a new place in a new environment, whether it's work or otherwise, it's like there is some element of orienteering yourself to that, or someone helping you do it. And this is why customer experience is like customer experience. The best customer experience is get this right. Put you in a new environment with a new thing, and it's like, hey, we'll take care of you. Like, we'll get you from A to B, because if you don't, you'll leave us and you'll stop paying us money, and that's bad. But for some reason, we don't really see that with employees. It's like, they'll get there eventually. It'll be all right. Just leave them to it. And you're talking of day 3 or 5 and high-fiving, giving laptops, and just essentially sat there twiddling your thumbs.
And the worst is, I think it was like day 6, because of the cycle that we were in, I was already required to give a presentation. And I no one told me, no one informed me. It was like 5 minutes before the meeting was about to occur. Someone just sent me a quick message. Hey, let me know if you need any help with your presentation. I was like, all right, okay, here we go. So I show up to the meeting, and we have 64 stakeholders in there expecting me to give an update on how my team is doing. And I don't even know the names of the individuals on my team yet. So it's just like that level of oversight. It's just kind of like, hey, does anyone think about helping the newbie out? Or is this just like one of your hazing rituals, which could be pretty illegal depending on how far anyways, just the employee experience matters, whether it's day 1, day 0, or day 90, day 100,000. Like, we need to be taking care of our people.
Well, I think we forgot that we still have to train people when we started saying, oh, you need to have 15 years of experience before we'll hire you. Like, that doesn't mean you know what's going on in that organization, even if you have already performed that exact job and for some reason want to do it again somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I got so many questions about this presentation. So did you do a presentation? Did you actually do it?
I said as much as I could, which was, hi, I'm Josh. I've been here for 6 days. I'm just learning. It looks like my team is pretty awesome. And I had a teammate just pick up from there. They were just like, yeah, so apparently he's new. So like, how demoralizing is that to be like shamed for or guilted for being the new guy? It's, come on,
man, that sucks. And that is the title of this podcast. Work sucks. So that works on many levels. Let's move on to question. Let's move on to question 5 before I pat myself on the back anymore. This isn't a follow-up question. This is a separate question. But what's the worst thing you've been asked to do at work? I mean, that must be up there. Do a presentation on your 6th day about your team.
Oof, good. That's a good question. I would actually, a lot of thoughts are coming up. It's not so much the worst thing I've ever been asked to do, and obviously there's plenty of things, but what comes to mind just feels fresh right now is like doing something that you weren't asked to do, that you found to be helpful, valuable, innovative, creative, will create some ROI at the company, and then getting in trouble for it.
Neither of us can relate to that at all.
I will say corporate America does not incentivize innovation at all. They want you to be a box checker. This is one of the reasons why we talk about how employment is dead. You hire these smart people and then you put them in environments where they don't get to be smart, where they don't even get to make decisions as it pertains to their role. We actually talk about the 10 operating principles of work. And one of them is decision-making power. One of them is, autonomy, to be able to have the flexibility to work in your role and be creative. So I was working on a project once where we were presenting a brand new product that we had just rolled out. We were really excited about it, and we wanted to figure out how to internally promote it. And the idea was floated to make a video. I have experience making videos. I, had a YouTube channel for a long time and just kind of was a hobby of mine. And so I volunteered to make a video, and I made a video. I felt really good, definitely above the quality of what you'll typically see in a very technical position like that. I got a lot of great feedback. I got approval all the way up from my manager to their manager, all the way up to the VP. This video is great. Until one person was like, actually, did he get approval to do this? What tools did he use? How long did this take? Was he using company time to make this video? And all of a sudden, all of these, like, everything just unraveled to the point where I was put in jail, essentially, at the organization for doing something that I thought was going to be beneficial and fun and new and engaging. And instead, I got my wrist slapped. And I learned from that moment, never again will I go above and beyond, take on additional work, do more than what I'm told, because it is absolutely not rewarded.
The question there that makes me laugh is, and not laugh in a nice way, I guess, but it's like, did he do this on work time? It's like, well, it pertains to stuff that the business is trying to achieve. I doubt he went, hey, I just, you know what? I'm just going to do this on my own time because I'm just that kind of guy. Like, no one in their right mind, myself included, and I'm a crazy guy, but like, of course it was on work time. When else do you expect me to do this thing that is for work? The thing I'd love to hear both of your perspectives on this. Actually, the term intrapreneurship, they're like, oh, we want entrepreneurs that work at this company, and like,
but you actually don't.
Exactly right. It's like, we want you to be an entrepreneur within the confines of this very, very, very tight brief that you've been given. And if you, to Josh's experience, you go outside of that, you're going to get burned. Then why would I do it? Because hand over fist, if you did that like as your own company, Josh, they'd be like, oh, well, this is cool. This is innovative. He did something new. The customers love it. Blah, 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 blah. Josh Drean becomes a billionaire because he invented Clash of Clans or some sort of app thing. I don't know. But like, the world is just messed up.
So,
Callie, go ahead. I want to hear your perspective on this, Callie.
I want to confirm, you didn't dream this up. You volunteered to do it because you have a skill when someone asked for it.
Yeah, it was great. It was that moment that I learned that entrepreneurship is not what you really want, because entrepreneurship requires you to find product market fit. And a lot of times that, needs to be a pivot. A lot of times the solution you're looking for looks very different from probably where you end up. And if you don't give employees that space to iterate and change and pivot and try new things, like, you're not going to find the benefits. So it's a huge problem.
Who knows what the customer needs besides the people who are talking to the customers?
Interesting thought. Customer experience reigns supreme. However, for some reason, employee experience is inexistent, and one can argue that employees are customer number one. How can you provide a customer experience that thrills if you don't first start with the employee experience? It's basic design.
And you have beautifully segued, because I'm going to move us on to question number 6. Like, that is like the perfect tee up. Question number 6 is, what is an easy change that would have made a huge difference in your career when you were employed? Like, one small thing that would have just changed the game.
It's really sad. The first thing that comes to mind is compliance. Like, if I would have just been more compliant, things would have been a lot easier. I would have had less jobs. I would have not jumped to so many jobs because I would have just complied with whatever they want me to do. And again, this is the disengagement epidemic at its core, right? Gallup has been tracking this forever. They just posted the worst numbers you've ever seen. 79% of employees are either not engaged or actively disengaged. 79% of your workforce. And this is an expensive problem. It costs money. And we can game it out, right? It's like 34% of an employee's annual salary. So if you want to do the math equation, just take 79% of your workforce and see how much they're earning. Take 34% of that, add it all up. You can see the millions of dollars that you're losing just because employees are overly compliant, because you have created an environment where compliance is rewarded over, innovation and creativity. So that's the negative side. I probably should have been more compliant. And
I love that you took it there, because every time I've read that question, I've taken it to what could the company have done to keep you engaged? And I've not thought about it in the like, how would I have been a better fit?
And that leads to exit interviews, right? Is the exit interview for you, the employee, to air out your grievances, or is it to check all the boxes so you don't get sued? Does that feedback even reach any leadership that is going to do anything with that?
They were just disgruntled. We don't care. They're the anomaly anyway.
For those listening, the visual that Toby is giving us is mind blown.
I talked to someone the other day who used those words exactly. Like, I was looking, writing a proposal for them. So as I tend to do, I'll just go on Glassdoor, I'll go on Reddit, see if there's anything there. And I said, there's a lot of chatter about this very specific situation. They went, oh yeah, they were just a disgruntled employee. And I'm like, yeah, but you probably made them disgruntled. Like you were the the thing that activated the disgruntlement. That's not a word, but we're going to go with it. Like you created that, because without you in that, the chain reaction wouldn't have happened to get there. And so it's really dismissive to say, oh, they were just disgruntled. Because it's like, well, yeah, because of you. Now, it could have been something in their social life and their personal life, possibly, but I highly doubt it that something in their personal life, they went, yeah, well, I was going through this really shitty time outside of work and I'm just going to vent about it on Glassdoor. It's like, no. Check yourself before you wreck yourself, company, because you are essentially eating yourself alive with your own lies.
Whew, I like that. Eating yourself with your own lies. And a note about Glassdoor, right? And again, I want to highlight that the pendulum swings from an employer's market to an employee's market every few years, and it will continue to do so. So regardless of where we're at today and the empowerment that employers feel, it will eventually swing back. And when it does, things like Glassdoor are going to matter again. Right now, it's like, I need a job. I beat out 1,000 people to get this job. I'm just grateful. Treat me however bad you want. I'm just glad that I have a job.
Yeah.
Your employer brand matters. Transparency matters. If I am looking to get hired at your job and I have many options, I'm not going to look at your website and say, oh yeah, like this, they look really cool, because I know that Wendy's is going to put their best foot forward on what it's like to work for them. What I really want to hear, though, is the Glassdoor reviews. I want to hear the behind the scenes, what employees really think. And with LinkedIn, now you can look up exact teammates that you will be working with at that organization. Reach out to them directly and be like, hey, I'm thinking of getting a job here. How's the culture? What do you think employees who work there would actually say to someone who's looking to work there? In my mind, if it's like a run for the hills, don't even consider it, which could be the majority of companies right now. Like, is that the brand you really want? You can't just put up a website now and think that it works. You've got to do the hard work and be transparent.
The transparency bit is great, because the thing I see time and time again with large corporates on their employer branding videos are what it's like to work there. Just look at the job titles of the people that are appearing in those videos. Head of Learning and Development, HR Business Partner. It's like all the people sat next to the employer branding people, like, because no one else will genuinely go on film and say nice stuff about this company. We have to get the people who are actively my teammates to do it. Happens all the time. And it's just like, I have, even in my, in my previous consulting life, was doing it. And it's like, cool. So who can we get to appear in this induction video? Oh, well, we can get someone from HR or Learning and Development or Employer Brand involved. I'm like, yeah, but you're the one who create the experience. I know you're also a recipient of the experience. That's fair enough. But also, we can't just have all of you. Can we have someone who does, like, other stuff? Like maybe in finance or legal? No, they won't want to be in it. Well, isn't that telling enough that they don't want to be in the video?
Yeah, dude, it's wild. What about you, Callie? I'm curious your experience or feelings on that.
Well, I go to all of the exit interviews that I did or conducted where people were like, well, I would recommend the company, but I wouldn't recommend my department. But every department had people saying that. And I always wanted to be like, yeah, but everyone is saying that. why are you saying you'd recommend the company but not your department when your experience is in your department? And why is that not any different than anyone else? I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Or is it maybe that's just a like save face way of saying, yeah, I'm not going to recommend that anyone works here, but I don't want to say that because I'm a Midwesterner and I'm too nice.
It's probably that. And I think that Toby is a Midwesterner at heart too. He's got both sides of it. You know, you're learning how to be a Midwesterner at this point.
I have learned almost too much about what it means to live in the Midwest. I'm like, hey, you guys aren't American. You're damn right. We're Midwest. Like, that's fine. Like, you're not too nice. That's not possible. Otherwise, you'd be Canadian. But like, it's just you're just all very lovely, lovely people. Well done.
We have more questions?
You just want me to like dote on how amazing people from the Midwest are? No? Okay, fine. Question number 7, the penultimate question. Actually, no, I'm going to throw a curveball here. We have a bonus question that we're going to ask everyone who appears on the podcast, and we're just like, I just need you to do a 1-word, 1-sentence answer, and then we're going to move on because it's like the Top Gear fastest lap board kind of thing. Josh, in time, tell me your longest commute that you've ever had for a job.
1 hour and 15 minutes one way.
1 hour and 15 minutes one way. Thank you very much. Congratulations. You've gone to the top of the leaderboard because it's our first episode. Let's see if episode 2 they can knock you off. But 1 hour and 15 is the longest commute we have ever had on this podcast. Great. Question 7.
Every time. That's why you live in the Midwest. So you have a 15-minute commute.
No traffic.
There was a cow.
I mean, and this is why I like the Midwest, because that is pretty much the excuse here, except it's a sheep or a horse. I was driving to work the other day, and the police had pulled someone over, and I was like, what's going on here? They pulled over a horse. It's not a person driving too fast or a criminal. A horse was loose, so they pulled it over and looked after it until Leona came. It's a crazy commute.
I love that.
Okay, so the actual official penultimate question number 7. What's a recurring nightmare you've had because of a bad work experience?
Oh, man. All right, so this isn't necessarily related to a full-time job, but I was building a startup, and I was really excited about it. This was out of the Harvard Innovation Labs. Me and my co-founder, we were pioneering sentiment analysis in real time. That's a fancy way of saying, let's collect sentiment data on employees by self-reported sentiment analysis. So we would ask them one question, pretty much how you doing is the question we would ask. Instead of doing a once-a-year survey that had 70 questions, employee engagement, you put all the information in there, spend all this time, you never see the results, you never see any change. We wanted to integrate that into their daily life so it was so easy to answer and they're just one and done, get on with their day, so that we could get more granular data on what day of the week are people most engaged, what hour are they the least engaged, is Thursday's meeting working, is January the worst month? Like, there's a lot of inferences that we could make from this data. And so we were really excited about the concept because as millennials, we are used to immediate feedback. If we post something on social media, people will tell us whether they liked it or not. We can see if it did well, if it didn't do well, how many likes we got. Like, Gen Z is driven by kind of this, online validation. And so we felt like we could kind of do it more millennial style. And so we're really excited. We brought in a lot of pilot clients who are excited to move on this. And I think some of our assumptions got challenged almost immediately. The first company that we interviewed, they decided not to run the surveys. They decided not to use the tool. And when we got to the heart of it all, we found out that they just they weren't that interested in understanding how their employees were feeling. They were afraid of the feedback, what it would say. They didn't want to hold that mirror up, so they bounced. We had another company who ran the surveys, didn't like the results, and so they buried the results. And time after time we kept running into this idea that most companies don't want to know how employees are feeling. Again, they'll ask all day every day about the customer experience, but when it comes to the employee experience, we're still treating them like office equipment. They're pushing buttons, checking boxes, and not like, imagine a transparent work environment where we're like, we hear you, we are doing everything in our power to give you what you need. Here's some limitations, we just can't do it right now, or here's what we're working on, we're trying. Like, just have that two-way communication. It will change everything. But so the long-winded answer is, I stay up late at night trying to figure out why companies are uninterested in transparency and two-way communication with employees. And I have an answer if you want to hear it, my hot take, but the hot take is that shareholder value is everything. Short-term shareholder value trumps employee experience. You want to get as much money in the hands of shareholders as possible. That's how the system is set up. I get it. So any penny that goes to an employee is a penny out of the pocket of a shareholder. It's the dumbest mentality that can just absolutely wreck any goodwill that you have with your employees. When you could invest in employees just like shareholders have invested in the organization in order to 10x your returns. Most companies would rather lay off a bunch of people, pass the dividends on to shareholders, and call it good. It's maddening. That's my rant.
I mean, that's a pretty solid rant. Like, I can't pick any holes in that, to be completely honest. I think, well, Callie, we've talked about this a lot, right? That HR doesn't speak the value of money. Unfortunately, it speaks the value of probably like loss aversion more than anything, but not of like value gain. And therefore, everything you've just said leans into, you've got to demonstrate the value you're adding, not just how happy are people and how are they filling out the survey. It's like, yeah, but does that make us any more money? And whether that's right or wrong, it's kind of the system in which we operate in currently, is like, you've got to be able to prove that makes money, because if you can't, then why would I bother? I'm not going to listen to that. I would just won't listen to it as a shareholder. It's like, you haven't told me it's going to make more money, so why is it important? But hey,
here we are. Here we are, millennials / Gen Z. Toby, I put you in Gen Z camp because you're too cool.
Yes.
This is a systemic issue that isn't going to go away and needs to be solved. That's why Gen Z is standing up against the system. They are saying, I don't want a corporate job. Why would I take a job that requires so much of my time for so little pay, with no promise of any long-term benefits or returns? And it's just baffling to watch, these companies be like, I guess they're lazy. This generation doesn't want to work anymore. It's like, you've lost the vision of how to incentivize employees in a way that wants them to stick around. They will. Gen Z will be loyal all day, every day, if you properly incentivize them. We just
give them something to be loyal to.
Exactly. Yeah. Another mind blown from Toby.
I know. I was talking to someone the other day, and they said, "Yeah, what's wrong with these Gen Z employees?" I was like, "Enlighten me, because I believe what you're about to tell me is going to be freaking gold." And I just don't know what motivates them. The thing I asked back was like, "Well, have you asked them?" And they went, "Huh, interesting." I was like, "How is that? How is that interesting? What, having a conversation with someone to find out what their motivations and unique purpose in the world might be? Wow. Yeah. Can I charge you what, $2,000 an hour for this kind of service? Because, like, believe me, if every leader in the world needs to hear that, then there's a bit of an issue." But hey,
dude, I mean, you're harping on my raison d'etre of work. It's employees will tell you what they need. They will be honest if they feel safe. We have not created environments that allow for two-way discourse. We are not listening. not even trying to listen. And until we can get that piece figured out, you will continue to see an entire generation disengage, find their voice in entrepreneurship or some other venture, and completely just like bash you on TikTok. Like they have no holds, and it's just so funny to see the disconnect and how tuned in the younger generation is and unable to tune in the older generation is. Not to get on my high horse at all. I hope this ties into question 8. Are you asking me about any sort of purpose question on question 8? Because I just answered it. Or we can
absolutely not. So if you want to expand on the purpose point, now's your chance.
I'm done. I've spoken my piece.
Hey, look, when you get on your high horse, you spit truths. And thank you for the Gen Z comment, by the way, as well. After this podcast, I'm going to kick back, listen to Oliver Rodrigo. Damn it, I was really nearly so cool. Olivia Rodrigo, and watch Skibbity Toilet on YouTube, because that's what I think young people do. And if you don't know those two references, you're out of touch. Question number 8. Co-workers from hell. What made them so terrible to work with? This is the last question, so you can go all out and tell us about the worst people you've ever worked with.
An unfortunate truth that I have come to embrace is that coworkers are not your friends. Audible gasp from Callie.
I learned that the hard way so many times. I just want to real people. Just be a real person, not a fake person. Shouldn't assume that.
Well, and it's interesting because let's not confuse cordiality. Now it's my turn, Toby, to make up a word. Individuals who are cordial versus individuals who are friends. A friend is someone who has your back and will help you through a hard time. Someone who is, looking to climb the corporate ladder or is playing the political game will put a facade up, will put up their best self. And the minute the opportunity presents itself to stab you in the back because there's some level of gain, they will, get credit for the work that you did in some way. They will not hesitate to stab you in the back. I did learn this the hard way. There was a moment where at one of my jobs, we had a group of coworkers who were just disgruntled. We yes-manned our bosses, and we just in the trenches on Slack. We are just like, there's no way I'm doing this work. These people are so out of touch. And I just personally just thought well, why don't we raise these concerns so that we can just air it out? If there's a true problem, this company would want to hear about it and they would want to do something about it. Right. So over weeks and all months, we had a group of 4 or 5 of us who were just like, we need to talk about this. And I was not necessarily leading the movement. I was just the most passionate about it because I truly believed that change was possible. We did a retreat in person. This was an in-person retreat, and we were going to have kind of an intervention. The minute we sit down and we have the moment where we need to talk about how we're really feeling, I'm going to bring it up, and you guys are all going to back me up. You can see where we're going with this story. The moment came, I said my piece. I said, look, a lot of us are unhappy. I said all the specific things, and nobody backed me up.
Not one?
Not one. Because the boss responded a bit angrily, came down on me immediately. So trust is gone, safe environment gone. All of these things that you need, thumbs up, are not in place. And it was a moment where I was in front of everyone with my pants down. I was looking at my coworkers, ready to call them out, but I was like, "Oh shoot!" I've got nothing here. And so I just realized at that point, it's like, you know what? I'm out of the question now for whatever promotions or whatever thing that I was going for. They've all got bumped up in the list, and that was good enough. And the toxicity continued, and I was put in, I keep saying it, jail. I was put in job jail.
That was your unrelated Pip?
Another Pip. That was another Pip in another role.
Oh.
I can feel that I mean, I will be surprised this season if we have anything that trumps that, because it's literally making my skin crawl. I'm like, oh, and for not one to have your back in that. Sorry, I've just seen the comment from Kelly, but for not one person to have your back, Kelly said it's like corporate Hunger Games, and I think
exactly
it's what it is, right? There's like everyone is out for their own gain in this situation. They're not friends. I think go back to the competitive element when we talked about recruitment and not getting that feedback. You know, if you're an Olympian, that just wouldn't make sense. It's a competition. It's one big competition. But it's like the worst competition as well, because the other word you've used, and there's some, I think if you've got AI to do a thematic analysis, there's just some like golden words that you picked up that kind of are like the theming of what you're talking about. Compliance. It's like you can't have innovative competition and compliance. Those two things don't really go together. One of my favorite sports is Formula One. And the thing that drives Formula One forward is that people try to break the rules all the flipping time. That's how they innovate. They're like, how can I push the compliance factor to the absolute line and maybe then beyond to get ahead? But on a human level, that's pretty sucky, because one of your colleagues has just stood up there and said something that everyone is thinking and feeling.
And discussed, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're highlighting the power dynamics. Well, there's two elements here, right? One is the power dynamics that exist within organizations. He or she who has power has influence, and there will be a lot of ass kissing to be able to be positioned to be in a position of power. That plays out in politics, that plays out in corporate life, that plays out in families. That's just kind of how it is as humans. So there's power dynamics that you need to be aware of. And then what you were talking about, Toby, is just the innovation, right? Pushing the ball forward on compliance. That's why I think the system is set up for large corporations to fail. They can't pivot fast enough. They can't innovate. You kind of look at AI being this disruptive technology, and these young companies, these new companies like OpenAI obviously is moving hot and heavy, and they are now a large corporation. But like, where did they come from? And where's Apple? Why is Apple not on board? Why can't they get their shit together enough to be able to compete? It's just kind of the way of the world that large corporations can't pivot fast enough. Younger corporations take their place. So, it's the age-old, dog eat dog, killer be killed kind of, natural selection. You pick your poison.
Well, I think that's a lovely way to start wrapping up, right? And Callie, what are we've heard like about the best part of an hour's worth of Josh's career, the trials and tribulations of Josh Drean in the workplace. What are your reflections on Josh's career? How can you play that back to him? Summarize it for us.
I really think clearly you're an optimist and you want people to do the right thing, and you keep waiting for people to do that. And I think that is really, really powerful, and why doing your own thing and bucking the system really suits you, because it's not just about trying to get by in one specific environment. It's about trying to find the right environment and trying to make poor environments better or rise to the occasion. And I really appreciate that.
And I will say, like, as much as we have just bagged on corporations and how work sucks, I have met so many passionate human resource leaders who can see it. This is nothing new. They want to see change. They want to move things forward. And the reason why I'm still here working with corporations is because I see the passion, the human-centric, willingness to push things forward. And I do think that we can change. I do think that we can evolve into something better. It's definitely not going to look like employment as it stands today. Hence the book, Employment is Dead. Go grab a copy on Amazon today. It is a way for us to really, make work like fulfilling. We are naturally innovative. We are naturally, we are drawn towards community, and we're like little busy bees. We want to do good work, but if our work is just being passed on to create value for a very few people, it's very demotivating.
Absolutely.
Well, I think you've both summarized it perfectly, and I'm not going to try and add or improve that because I don't think I can.
Come on, Toby. Give us
You've
your
gotta
one
have
sentence
thoughts.
recap.
Toby, you've got to have thoughts. You always have thoughts. You've always got something. I've talked enough on this podcast. It's not about me. No, I think there is this, and I flip flop between the optimist and the pessimist aspects of what we've just talked about. That it can change. There aren't enough people trying to design how it can change. I think that's my issue. Is that takes a considerable amount of time, care, and effort, and that's primarily what I've been looking at for the past 2 years with my business partner Emily. Is like, how can we design the change? But it's taken 2 years of us not being in that world, doing that job to do that. We've had to remove ourselves from it completely to really focus in on it. So I can understand why no one inside an organization or even consulting for an organization has fixed it, because they're kind of incentivized for fixing the here and now problems, as you kind of talked about it, Josh. And it's like, well, who's fixing the future facing problems? When let's use the AI thing, right? When AI takes away a lot of this busy work, when it takes it away, what are you going to do then? Because either you can figure out what you're going to do then, or you can be made redundant and not have a job anymore and have to reskill yourself. So not enough humans are proactively thinking about how they design that future. They're waiting for it to be spoon-fed. And that's fine, because the people who will design the future will have to then just pass it around and, open source it and help those people achieve that. So spoon feeding is probably the thing that ruins everything. Anyway, they're my reflections. You Callie said there. Toby, you must have something to say. Of course I do. Right. This is episode 1 in the can. Josh Drean. I think every time we obviously spent a heady night in October last year on a Minneapolis rooftop, drinking wine and eating pizza. It's the first time we all met in person as a trio, and it was absolutely awesome. And I think, I consider you a friend for life, and now a co-founder of a soccer podcast that will happen in the next 3 to 5 decades when I get round to it.
Add it to the list of all your many, many ideas.
Yeah, my many, many unfulfilled ideas. Okay, right. Let's get out of here. Callie, how are we going to end the podcast? Are we going to play the jingle? Are we going to just wave? What are we going to do?
I think we just wave. Thank you all for hanging out. Thank you, Kelly, for hanging out specifically.
Yes. Based in Wales, over here in the UK, from Swansea. I should not do Welsh accents. Hopefully, she's not listening anymore. Okay, we're out of here. We'll see you next time on Work Sucks. Catch you later. Bye.